Damn it.
Guys, you ready?
Oh, okay.
Here we go, everyone.
Wait a minute. Let's go into... No.
Nope.
Before that, we have to explain the... go into the funeral, Mr. Metokur.
Yeah.
So Jim is dead. It's very sad, everybody. Here's Brian Dunn, Jim's best friend, breaking the news live on air.
Please box, Mr. Isn't he dead? Isn't that bitch dead? I'm pretty sure Jim is dead.
So Brian is sure that Jim is dead. You heard it first from Brian. This started a massive shitstorm online that Metokur was dead. This guy here under psychic attack saying Metokur is dead and being tortured in hell. We've got... Metokur is dead? Crab dance. Like these just... this is like Ralph's people just dancing on Jim's grave. Metokur is dead and we love Nazis being dead, so stay mad. Just tap dancing on Jim's grave. This guy's saying, you ain't Mr. Metokur, little bro. He's dead. Just dabbing on a Metokur fan. This Velvet Grayson exposing the truth. Metokur is dead and Jade is posing at him. That's kind of close to the truth.
Yeah.
But what it is Jade has set up Jim GPT, which cross-references Jim's previous tweets and posts with current events so that Jim can commentate forever. And we got Jalen dabbing on Jim's grave. People virtue signaling over a Nazi. Dying just baffles me. His entire thing was harassing people on the internet. Now you're going to cry when people make fun of his death. And there's from the automated Jim GPT bot, the Metokur bot, all we have left of Jim. Rest in peace and pepperoni me.
That's what he would say. That's exactly the type of humor he would use about his own
death. The AI
death.
is getting so good.
Very good.
But so Jim has passed away. So at this time, folks, I prepared a eulogy for Jim. After this eulogy, we will do a tribute show where we go over the greatest and most iconic Jim videos, everybody.
And then kick. All right, guys. Here it is, guys. Enjoy.
My dearly beloved brothers and sisters, we are gathered here today to remember our dearly departed brother Jim, a.k.a. James O'Shaughnessy, a.k.a. Internet Aristocrat, a.k.a. Jim81 Jim, a.k.a. Mr. Metokur, or, as his parasocial internet friends know him, Daddy Jim. Jim was a staunch atheist. All his life, he denied Christ and his teachings. However, as I fear that your super chat contributions to this congregation will be low if I do not do otherwise, and I really only do this Pastor PPP shtick for money, we're going to pray him to heaven anyway. That's just how it's going to go, okay? But yea, my brothers and sisters, think of it. How could a loving and good God not send our based brother Jim to heaven? Think upon it. For indeed, Jim felted the and the furries. Yea, not only them, but he laid waste to the feminists. Verily I say unto you, indeed, Jim felted and laid waste to the pedophile menace, especially Ross. May he rest in hell. Scumbag. Verily I say unto you, brethren, that though Jim's faith was lacking, he has many righteous works to his name. Many, many righteous works. And he laid waste to many of the workers of iniquity, to the synagogue of Satan. And I've also heard from a little birdie, Jim's closest friend and confidant, Brian Dunn, that verily, hallelujah, there was a deathbed conversion, that Jim confessed the name of Jesus Christ and repented of his sins. Hallelujah! Hallelujah and amen! Brother Jim was saved on his deathbed by Brian Dunn. What a glorious day. It remains our fervent prayer, Father, that you might find some way for your servant Jim to enter into your heavenly habitation. Jim leaves behind his loving Asian wife, Jade. He leaves behind a legacy of laughter and a heartbroken sector of fanboys. May he rest in peace, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. May you be generous with your Super Chat contributions.
That was very beautiful, Ashton.
Wow,
Thank you for
everybody.
that.
What a
Holy.
heartwarming eulogy.
Very
Now,
beautiful.
that was to begin the funeral service. Now, we're going to memorialize Jim by going over some of his most iconic videos and stuff. It was very hard to narrow things down.
Yeah.
I basically narrowed it down to like 10 videos that kind of tell the narrative of Jim's career from when he was Jim81 Jim to his final stream. But there's so many good videos that I had to cut, especially from the Internet Aristocrat days. His video against Anita Sarkeesian was really good. Like his Euroscepticism video. All the Tumblrism videos.
How the sausage was made.
Well, that was from the Mr. Metokur era.
That video
I had to cut
traumatized
that
me.
because I can't show that on
It's
YouTube. But if
dumb.
I could show it, I would show it. But we're going to start off with an era maybe a lot of you haven't seen. And I wanted to show more videos from this era because it's a time that I really like. I think it was a better time, a more wholesome time. The 2008 to 2010 era Jim81 Jim videos. But because of, listen, you out there are fleshly and weak, and I know that you can't handle the low production quality of Jim81 Jim. So I had to pick one video to encapsulate the Jim81 Jim era. And so I decided we would go with the Spax 3 series, part 1 of his Spax 3 series. Now, for those of you who don't know who Spax 3 was, Spax 3 was like the lol cow of his era. He was kind of like the Ralph of his era, but a lot more wholesome and autistic, and more so about spurging about Sonic voice actors and shit than hollering about bullshit and doxing and swatting people. But Spax, Spax's mom was a lawyer, and he used this to be able to file DMCA claims against everybody. And basically everybody in the sector at that time, Helsing 920, Big Al 2K Sticks, Boomstick 420, Darkness Occur, everybody made a video about Spax, shitting on Spax, and he would flag them down, and everybody got pissed, and they were calling him out. But he also was obsessed with Sonic the Hedgehog. He created his weird, like, OCs of Sonic that he drew. He was pissed about Jason Griffith, I believe, being the voice actor for Sonic. And Jim at this time, this is young, bright-eyed, naive, 30-year-old Jim. This was like 6 years before he was Internet Aristocrat.
Wow.
And he was a nobody. He was a guy that was on like Big Al's show sometimes. And I must have seen Jim because I used to watch every one of Big Al 2K6's videos. I must have seen the Sandra Lee crossover and stuff, but I didn't remember Jim at all. My first memory of Jim is the second video we're going to play from the Internet Aristocrat era. But
that's how I learned about him, was that video. We understand
well,
Mike getting
Pedo
away.
says you
Thank
are Big Al 2K6. The thing is, like, Big Al 2K6 may as well be my dad. He looks just like me. It's the resemblance is really uncanny. It's kind of creepy. But anyway, let's memorialize Jim. Yeah. Let's remember him as he was. Now, Donut Steel says he only learned of Jim as Internet Aristocrat. If you go to the Internet Aristocrat archive on YouTube, you'll find a lot of these old videos where he was either Gathering Storm or Jim81 Jim or Games Good Me Bad or whatever the but this is his Spax series. Bear with the quality here.
Guys, we're starting at the this is basically the beginning
but you
of
can
Jim's
see in this a lot of what Jim would become. You can really see it. I really enjoy this video, so let's have a look.
The sky dies the same. The stars, the moon. Boobies!
Cut off.
It's just cut off. Like, it's literally like Windows Movie Maker production.
It's cut off.
This is the Daddy Jim production.
This is
Like,
the beginning of time.
this is the beginning of time.
Yeah.
It's such a better age, a more civilized age.
Enjoy.
Fucking weed out.
Yeah. Aren't you pumped? Don't you just love that shit? You sit down to watch a video and what do you get? You get some huge, spectacular, and epic of an opening. You've got music and effects and you've got video clips and everything's edited together and it looks so goddamn amazing.
Holy
And you're thinking, oh, man, this is going to be great. And then
I'm
it
not
gets
gonna
to the
pause.
video and what do you get? A guy in a microphone. A guy in a microphone that's $10 and from Target.
It's
And it's
$10.
got clicks, and it's got
from
whistles,
Target.
and it's got shit going off in the background. And none of it's natural, and it sounds horrible. And you're like, what the How did I get this great 30-second opening? And now I got a guy in a mic. Welcome to YouTube, welcome to Dailymotion, welcome to VO, and every other goddamn
Welcome
content
to
site
VO.
on the internet.
Yo.
Welcome to the world of 32-degree angles on televisions
was
by
really good for
camcorders
the
that are
time.
Yeah.
improperly placed.
Oh,
This
what a better
is the
time.
world of content creators and video editors and people who use Windows Movie Maker to the best of their ability. Sure, they could run out and get Adobe and, shell out the $700 and actually make something good, but,
When
that
Adobe
requires
costs
actually
$700?
work.
What's
And as we all
$700?
know,
Nobody had
most
it at
people
the
who
time.
use the
Everyone
internet live in
pirated it.
basements. We fear the daylight because it burns us. Unlike the unlike the Mormon vampires in Twilight, we don't glow like we've been dumped in glitter.
Like
We
the
fucking
Twilight
combust.
reference.
Like Michael
The
Jackson's
time
hair on the set of a
capsule.
Pepsi commercial.
Holy
We explode into a giant fireball that would make Goku's Kamehameha wave jealous with envy. So why am I telling you this? Simply just so you know that don't expect anything spectacular. I am one of the basement dwellers. I don't have Adobe. You will hear clicks and whistles. There will be no spectacular special effects. I'm a cheap
a
bastard
fucking
who will half-ass
time
anything that I
capsule.
pretty much can get away with. It's what I do and I do it well. It's probably why I'm on YouTube and VO and all the other sites because
can't
I lack
believe he's
talent.
gone.
But I'm in good company, though. I'm in good company because I'm with the guy that I'm doing a video on today. Spax. Oh, good old Spax.
It's
Alexander
Spax!
Prinz Stairs Esquire.
Just full name dogs. But Feezer, couldn't handle it. Full name dogs.
And now you
from
understand why you
Daddy
went with the
Jim.
name Spax. Because obviously if you've been named after Bill and Ted, you're probably going to pick your own nickname. It's not like his parents named him after, I don't know, Lawrence of Arabia or something. A fucking classical epic. No, they chose a 1980s movie about two surfer teens who time travel in a fucking phone booth.
Oh,
Poor motherfucker. And you wonder why he's a Sonic fanboy. And with that out of the way, you might be wondering, why a video on Spax? Why him of all people on the internet would I choose to do a video on Spax?
well, because everybody else was
Well, back in
doing it at the
October of
time.
last year, I'd done a review of his website, after a friend of mine on a forum had basically pointed out that he actually had a website.
His
Of course,
website
me
is
being
so funny.
the kind of person I am, I didn't believe that. I figured there's no way.
Holy f- sus
There's no
existed
way
back
No,
he
then.
has
no,
a
I think-
website. And sure enough,
So I think this version of the video is not like the widescreen version it's supposed to be. It's like lost to time. So everything's just chopped off. The word sus.
go there and I find out he does.
That must have been
Not
the
only
end
does
of
he have a
another
website,
word, I
he's
think.
got a forum and all this shit connected to it. He's getting money. He's getting money to do it. So, I made this
Money.
video
The
as
evil
kind of an inside
of money
joke.
on
It was
the
just
internet.
a response
Back
to
then
the,
it was evil.
to the post that was in this thread, and that was the end of it for me. So then why come back and do another video on Spax? What's the point? It was an inside joke, right? So what motivation do I have to come back and do another one? A couple of reasons, really. I'm an attention whore. I love to jump
There you
on
go.
bandwagons.
Jim's
that should cover
he's
it,
an
but that's
attention
not the real
whore,
reason
just
I'm doing
like
it.
me.
And me.
Like I had said, it was an inside joke. It wasn't meant to be anything more than that. But, over the last 6 months since I did that video, other people have come forward and they've done parodies, they've done spoofs, they've done all sorts of crazy shit. I've seen animated series, and I've seen rants, and I've seen just a lot of really clever shit out there that's funny. It's entertaining, and it's good. And what happens to those people? they get banned. They get kicked off of YouTube. They get kicked off DeviantArt. And,
back
you know,
then,
it's
still a
bullshit.
problem.
It's
The
bullshit that he
problems
can
were
wield that
actually
kind of
with
power. It's
copyright
bullshit
were so bad
that people
back
will,
then.
you know,
Yeah.
flag videos
You
for
had
him.
no
He's got people
recourse.
flagging videos for him. I don't know how he
The
started this little
flagging.
miniature
Back
empire
then-
on the internet, but he did. You know, if you want to say anything about Spax, with all his faults, he has done that very well. He has built up his own little fan base very well. And he's got these people to do shit for him that, you know, he'd never be able to do completely on his own. Case in point, if you go to Ed and you look at his articles, you're going to see video after video that's been removed. That's because he's got people going on to
You
f***ing
can
Ed
get on
and looking at
encyclopedias
videos that get
now,
released
Ken,
on
but I
different
don't know if it
sites and
exists.
getting them cut and getting them, you know, taken down and
His
kicking
dad
the
is
people who
Kiwi,
did those
dude.
videos
It's
off of
fucking
the sites
shit.
themselves.
Fuck.
Bullshit, man. That's fucking bullshit. When people do
Bullshit.
that kind of stuff on the internet, they should get called on it.
The
You know, if he had been
flaggers.
smart, he would have
That's
just
what he
ignored it,
started.
and it would have
He
went
started
away.
a
It
group
completely went away. This would have
flaggers.
died
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Nobody would have given a shit. But he couldn't ignore it. Or if he was smart, he would have
And
done
now we're
something
here in
witty. Would have done
2023
something
with
funny.
Teddy.
Would have fired back and said, you know, f*** you know, video content creators. At least I make original shit. You're just, you know, you're taking what I do and you're, you know, twisting it. But you can't even come up with your own shit. But he didn't do that. Instead, what he did is he pussed out. He did the equivalent on the internet of what a kid would do in the classroom when they get made fun of. He ran to the f***ing teacher. And we all know what happens in an elementary school or a junior high or a high school
Yeah,
when you run and
Teddy.
tell the teacher. You get your ass kicked. The class
Yes,
hates
Ted.
you for doing that. Nobody
What
likes a
happened?
f***ing tattletale. That's what he is. He's a
metaphorically,
goddamn
of course.
tattletale on the internet. He's the f***ing Cindy Brady of the goddamn digital age. So that's my motivation for doing this video. That's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm putting this out here. And so I'm going to go through bit by bit and look at the different things he's done and the different aspects of who he is to try to figure out why this shit happens and why he does what he does. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
Smash the like button for Jim. Let's
Dang,
get
I
it
just
over.
fucked up who Sonic's character is! And I'm never gonna let it go!
So who is Spax anyway? I mean, just who is the guy? I mean, obviously we know what his name is. We know he makes videos, but doesn't really tell us much about him. I mean, he started out doing, you know, video game reviews basically on YouTube. A lot of people have started out doing that. You've got people who are well known and people who aren't well known. But it's
Dabbing
it's a
on
common
Irate
hobby, you know.
Gamer.
Chris Barr.
Irate
go, they
Gamer
make,
was like
fucking
so
Video
hated
game reviews, they
back
do
then.
Yeah.
He
Let's
was
plays,
mother.
walkthroughs,
Archfiend
and
would
speed
rape
runs.
him.
I mean, it's a
Archfiend
popular thing,
got him,
and that's
like,
how he got his
like,
start. He started
every
doing
day.
that. Of course, he focused
You ever
mainly
see his
on
new
Sonic the
podcast?
Hedgehog. That was a franchise he
Oh,
liked.
but
And I don't have a problem with
400
fanboys.
views.
I'm a fanboy for shit. I love Bethesda. I'm a huge fan of the Elder Scrolls. You know, that shit gets me hot. What can I say? So he, you know, he picked Sonic. He picked Sonic and he ran with it. But what started to kind of emerge as he was doing this was beyond what a fanboy is. It wasn't just that, you know, he got an erection anytime somebody mentioned the word hedgehog. He would go into fury if you didn't like the Sonic game that he liked, if you talked about any of the peripheral series that are somehow associated with the main franchise, like take 4Kids, for example, and the whole Jason Griffith thing. Here's this poor motherfucker,
Griffith.
Jason Griffith, who works for a goddamn dubbing company, 4Kids Entertainment. I mean, they do more than dub, but he works for this company. He's a voice actor. He gets assigned to do the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog. That's his fucking job. This is what the guy does. It's not like he woke up one day and said, you know, how can I f with the internet? I know, I'm going to ruin Sonic the Hedgehog for them. It's his fucking job. But Spax didn't like that. Spax didn't
common
like this
sense.
guy's voice. He made video after video, rant
Spax
after
was
rant, post
so
after post,
angry. He
talking
wanted to
about
bring
how
back, what was his
Jason
name,
Griffith
Drummond?
is like the f***ing Antichrist in the animated world.
Who's
And how
drumming?
4Kids
Who's
is trying to
another
bring out,
voice actor?
you know,
Oh,
bring about some anti-utopian, you know, horrible hellfire, and they're going to ruin
Potato
animation and they're going to f shit up. And yeah, they kind of do. I mean, they do goofy shit. They screw stuff up. What do you expect? They're American. We can't do anime. We haven't, you know, we haven't gotten there yet. So anyway, you know, here's this poor bastard. He's doing his f***ing
Just
job.
dabbing on Avatar.
It's not like he
The
kicked
Last
Ryan
Airbender
Drummond off.
fanboy.
You know, it's not like he,
He
you know,
taught
beat him
them
up in the
there.
bathroom and took his f***ing position. He got assigned the goddamn job. That's his f***ing job. You know, so he's doing his job. You know, he comes in, he clocks in, he does the f***ing voice, and he leaves. That's how he looks at it. I'm sure that's how I'd look at it. You know, it's not like it's some mission in life for him to make sure that Sonic the hedgehog is perfectly done. I mean, he'll he'll try. He'll try to make it passable, to make it decent, but he can't help if he can't do it to the expectations of a diehard fan. And so Spax went on some goddamn tangent about this. I mean, he started out just doing game reviews, and then this 4Kids thing came along, and he lost his mind. He went batshit insane. You know, Jason Griffith this and Jason Griffith
Alex Jones
that.
is righteous, Jim.
And that's where the problem started. Because then
That
you
was
had
like a
all
new
this other
photo
shit
of
that
Alex,
started
too.
just to kind of pile on top of it.
At the time,
You know,
that was a current
people told
Alex
him he was
photo.
and
It's like
you know, people are
15
f***ing with him because he was so into this shit. And you know, then he started throwing stuff around. And so, that's kind of like the very beginning. That's, that's like patient zero in the story. You know, the very origin of where all the trouble started with Spax. It all started with Jason Griffith. And can you imagine what it'd be like from this guy's perspective? Because again, this is just his fucking job. Right? That's what he does for a living. You know? And here you've got this incensed fanboy on the internet who just hates you with a fucking passion. Doesn't just hate you, he wants you fucking dead. He wants you dead because you can't voice a character he happens to like. That's fucking nuts. There's no way to look at that and think it's not nuts. I mean, sure, maybe it'd be great if the animated
best
series
Alex
had gone
Jones
to, I don't
ever.
know, like, what is it, Ocean Studios in Vancouver, the guys who do a lot of anime. They do a pretty good job. But it didn't. It went to 4Kids. That's where it fucking went. And they did the best they could with it. And they had somebody else. They had
Jim's
Ryan
editing is
Drummond
so
and a
tier,
couple
like-
other people. I don't
Yeah.
It's just
like
so,
I'm not a,
such
I'm
a
not big into
relic of
Sonic,
its
so
time.
I'm just giving you
It's like
kind
so
of what I know. But
slideshowy, PowerPointy.
it went to Jason Griffith. It
That's
went
what
to
it
this guy to
was.
do this voice.
And that was like the high production.
Could you imagine
That
if you
was like,
worked a
holy,
job,
this guy
somebody
worked hard on this
reacted like
video.
this?
Most of the time,
Sure,
it was
there
like
is a
240p,
level
like
of professionalism you need to have in any
unregistered
endeavor
Yeah.
you go into.
You see like the
You're
fucking logo on
working
the
at
bottom
Burger
left.
King
Let's
and you're
say
shitting on the
unregistered.
burger
Yeah.
patties, you deserve to get your ass kicked. If you work in telecommunications and you prank phone call or if you prank call people, yeah,
Oh,
you
crank
deserve to get
yankers.
fired. But it's not like Jason Griffith walked into
Holy,
the
what
office
a
every day or into the
reference.
studio every day and drank and smoked pot and talked
Adam
about how he hates
Carolla,
black
Jim
people.
Florentine.
He
those
came in
guys.
and he did a goofy
Whoa,
voice and he
Jim
did,
saying
he read the
racism is
script.
bad.
He did what was expected of him.
Whoa,
Sure, it might not have been to the
Jim.
It was a
level of what
wide-eyed,
certain people
naive
wanted,
Jim.
but he didn't do a terrible job. He did a professional job. So imagine yourself doing your job and having some crazy f***er come in there and say, "Hey asshole, this f***ing Whopper you made me? Yeah, it's not like Kevin used to make it." And you're like, "Who the f*** is Kevin?" "That's a guy who used to work here 2 years ago." You're like, "Yeah, so it's a f***ing Whopper, right? I mean, all the parts are there." "Oh yeah, all the parts are there, but you didn't make it like Kevin made it." "Oh, okay." And then this f***ing crazy customer not only tells you, you're a dick because you can't make a Whopper like Kevin used to make one, he makes videos about it. He writes letters about it. He's marching out, front of the f***ing door talking about how you don't know how to make Whoppers. And you're watching this shit like, what in the f*** is this guy's problem? And people are driving by looking at this psychopath and they're thinking, that's funny. And so they f*** with him a little bit. That's the reaction that should happen. Because it's so extreme and it's so f***ing bizarre to get that incensed over something that's stupid.
Pause it.
It's a f***ing
We are
voice actor.
Casino.
Spax is gone and he's recanted and he said, "Oh well, that's in the past, gamer fans," and all that shit. But that's how he reacted. That's what started this all. That's
Crazy,
the origin.
The first era.
You can't
of
deny it.
call-outs.
You can't run away from
the
it.
first era.
It's
of
a f***ing internet.
call-outs.
It's
Fucking
right. I
insane.
mean, once you put it out
can't
there, it's
make
out
money
there.
on
You can't
YouTube.
get it back. There's nothing you're going to be able to do
You
to
work
make it
for
go
you.
away. It's
Listen
like
to
f***ing,
Ted.
I don't know,
Go-
herpes. That's what started this all. That's the origin. He can't deny it. He can't run away from it. It's a fucking internet. It's there, right? I mean, once you put it out there, it's out there. You can't get it back. There's nothing you're going to be able to do to make it go away. It's like fucking, I don't know, herpes. it's fucking herpes. Internet videos are equivalent to herpes. They will never go away. You can only medicate, but you can't ever cure it.
It's the fucking situation that he's in right now. It's the
All
fucking situation.
So we're gonna fast forward about 6 years now,
Jesus.
and this is where Jim becomes a massive celebrity, or
Yeah.
e-celebrity.
E-celeb, yeah.
He
of course.
becomes a massive e-celeb, goes over 100,000 subs. After this, he's on calls with Milo,
Lauren
Sargon,
Southern.
Mundane Matt, King of Pole at the time was there. This is the Gamergate era. And I wanted to put in the Anita video as well, where he's attacking Anita, because it was so representative of that time. But we just don't have the time.
There's so much.
If we want to watch some of his documentaries, like the Mundane Matt video, the Ballad of Mundane Matt, or the Tonka Saw Tough Guy video, or the Sargon Guide to Winning Elections, we have to cut
the one thing I'm looking
something somewhere.
If someone has it, me and Metokur on Kumite, when I had to quit VR porn.
Yeah, you were talking about this.
And then, if someone has that, I know someone.
I am going to play him leaving Gamergate Cinemas V6. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's the one. Like, that's so fucking jokes to me.
Sex for favors, secrets, cover-ups, corruption. I've heard things blow your mind, and now I think it's time you get the whole story. I'm Jesse Ventura, and this is Quinspiracy Theory.
This is Quinspiracy Theory.
This is how I learned about him.
Teddy has no idea what the this
The
is.
video I was originally going to upload tonight is gone.
The mic
I've
quality
scrapped
is
it,
way
it's
better.
deleted. I've decided to do something different because of this. What you're looking at is a copyright claim against a YouTube user by the name of Mundane Matt on a video called Hell Hath No Fury Like a Lover Scorned. That copyright claim was filed by Zoe Quinn,
So,
the person who was
pause
a
it.
Oh,
We
it's
just
so
have to
classic.
go over this.
Yeah.
That, I mean, holy a video claim, a copyright claim against Mundane Matt.
Yeah.
And this is why, Feezer, you are basically the modern day Jarbo. Because what happened to Jarbo is he was claimed by Zoe Quinn. This was his big boost to fame. He was on all the streams with everybody.
Yep.
Got promoted, became a skeptic, all this sort of thing. You know what happened to you, Teddy? You got doxxed by the f***ing Groypers. They f***ed with you. They went after your shit. They flagged your shit. Guess what? Now what have you done, Teddy? You've doxed your own donators through the Groypers, Ted. It's literally like poetry. It fucking rhymes. Now you're flagging people. You're being a soy-filled bitch, Ted. But we'll get into all that, Teddy. This is like classes in session. You fucking.
Yeah, like in Keys to the VIP, but it's Fees to the VIP.
But at this time, Jarbo was a well-respected member of the community.
Yeah.
Everybody loved Jarbo. He was like the toast of the town.
Yeah, yeah.
video itself. Now, in the copyright claim, she had stated that he'd used a still image of her game, Depression Quest, which she's a creator of, and that she had ownership over that, and that's why the video needed to be pulled down, because it was infringing on her intellectual property. But the truth...
That was so funny. So she flagged him for a single image of her game.
Yeah.
Not even a video. An image of the... Now people play games for a job. That's fucking crazy. And by the way, remember when Lacey Green flagged, I think it was fucking... I forgot who it was. Chris Ray Gunn?
And then she started taking his dick later?
Yes.
It had nothing to do with that.
Her picture in the thumbnail.
Yes.
Not even in the video.
The image Matt used in his video, and it was just one image. I want to show you his typical format. This is a typical video that Mundane Matt will put up. You have a still image in the background, you have a transparent barrier on the left-hand side
Yeah, he is.
with a title, and he talks over it. And that is exactly what Hell Hath No Fury was. It had a still image in the background, a transparent barrier, title, and he talked over it. Now, the image he used was a publicly available image. This game is out on Steam. You can see these images. They've been used in news articles, they've been posted on websites, they're publicly available through the company on Steam itself. So her copyright claim had nothing to do with him using her intellectual property.
Is it still
what it had to do
available?
with was suppressing information from getting out. And that's something that's been going on now for the last 3 days since this began. Sites like Reddit and NeoGAF and even 4chan on certain boards have suppressed this from being talked about because of the implications it has in the gaming industry. Now, what started all of this off was a WordPress blog called The Zoe Post. This was put up by a man named Aaron, who is Zoe Quinn's ex-boyfriend. In the entirety of the blog post, which is extraordinarily long, he goes through a laundry list of complaints as to why the relationship failed and why he's upset. Now, these all seem to be valid to me, things like lying and manipulation and infidelity. However, at face value, it's nothing more than that. Why would that be interesting? So is she taking videos down because she's embarrassed about it? No, she's taking them down because of the people she slept with, that she cheated on him with during their relationship, and who they are, and specifically what they can do for her as an entrepreneur. Gaming journalism has reached a low point.
Remember when
over the last
Ken
5
Ashcorp
years.
got shit on for
It
his
started
song?
with pieces that had
Just
nothing to do with
5
gaming or
guys
game
on a
reviews,
night
nothing to
out.
do with software or hardware,
It had
nothing to do with
nothing
events
this.
or expos.
It was a dog
It started
whistle,
to
the SJWs
travel off
canceled
into
it.
the areas of social justice and feminism and opinion pieces and op-eds that had nothing to do with gaming. It started to have authors who were writing pieces condemning the gaming audience as being sexist and misogynistic, as being racist and bigoted, as being overly violent rapist. This has been seen on Kotaku, on Rock Paper Shotgun, on Destructoid, on The Escapist, on any website you can name. This has been transpiring for the last 5 years. It seems more and more these outlier pieces have become the standard, and that the narrative put forward in them has become cohesive and refined, like a talking point targeted at us as the audience. And there's a reason for that. And Zoe Quinn and what's happened over the last 3 days helps to point that out. That is why this is important, and it needs to be talked about. This has nothing to do with her as a person
That's
in
right,
a relationship.
Repair Bot.
I don't
It's about
care
ethics in
that Zoe
games
Quinn
journalism.
five
We
guys.
need to reform
I don't
games
care
journalism.
that Zoe Quinn cheats
It's
on
about the
people she's
corruption
in
in
a
games
relationship with.
journalism.
That's on her. That's her own personal accountability. Her ethical and moral failures as an individual are for her partner to deal with. However, when the people she's having an affair with, when the people she's cheating on her boyfriend with happen to be able to help her career through their actions related to the industry that she's in, then it becomes a piece of public discourse, and it becomes important because it helps to highlight a massive
Fired it
flaw
up, eh? Like
in the Fifth
Gamergate?
Estate. Now, if you're like me,
Just fired
you've
it
grown
up,
up watching
Gamergate, like-
mainstream media,
Well, this
television
was
media
the beginning
die
of
a
Gamergate,
death.
for real.
And it didn't just
Because it
die
was
this
so
death because of
concise,
the
it was
invention
so
of the
well
internet.
done.
It
Yeah.
died
Everybody
because
is
of its
like,
lack
"Whoa."
of ethical standards. I'd be surprising no one by telling them that Fox News and MSNBC and CNN and every other mainstream media source you can name is corrupt. We've seen this happen, and we've
I
seen the
remember
result
thinking that was
of their
Jim's
reporting
face.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Backroom relationships, money changing hands, manipulation, illicit acts
school when I
have slanted
saw this.
old media to the point where it's unreliable and no one trusts it.
What year?
So when the Fifth Estate emerged, when we had internet journalism, we felt like we had something we could believe in. We were going to report to each other. We were going to be the honest people. We weren't going to let other outside factors influence truth. But it has not happened that way. And what took a century to kill old media has taken mere years to undermine new media. So let's start at the beginning and see what the hell is going on here, and why this keeps being pushed down, and why nobody's talking about it. Now, Zoe Quinn's notoriety extends quite a ways back. As I stated earlier, she's an indie developer. She released a game on Steam called Depression Quest, and reading the description it states,
Barbell
it is a
Supremacist saying
flash
Gamergate
text-based
ruined
adventure game about a
everything.
person
Yep.
living with depression and how situations affect them. Who
It's
doesn't
like
want to
the-
play a game
the
about being
Vietnam
depressed?
War
I
for
rank that right up there with
some
gems like
real
I Have the
pirate
Chicken Pox and the
shit,
hit
like,
sequel I Have
they'll
Shingles
never
Now.
get
Oh God,
over
does it
it.
Yeah.
hurt?
Fucking
Yet this is a game she
traumatized.
pushed through Greenlight. How did
Some
she get it
people
through
have
Greenlight?
never
In fact,
left
how did this
Gamergate.
game
Like, John
even get on
Michael Kelly
Steam?
is
Well,
still
if you
trapped
trace this
in
back to its
Gamergate.
origins,
That's
originally
still
developing
real.
it, she started
We're
to get a
still
lot of
fighting.
press because
He's
she
like
was
the f***ing guy.
the
that,
victim
like, the
of a
Japanese
sexist
soldier
campaign
that
by
was lost on the
evil
island
denizens of a website
for
called
like
Wizard.
30 fucking
Now,
years
Wizard
and still
Chan, for those of
believed
you who are
Japan was
unfamiliar
at
with this
war.
website,
that's
is
He
a
was, like,
image
fighting
board
the f***ers who were
dedicated
trying to
to the
rescue
movie Hocus Pocus. They are Disney fanatics over at Wizard Chan. But apparently, they have an issue.
Wizard Chan.
They have a major issue. Quinn in her game. And she went to Twitter and she went to social
Whoa,
media
man.
talking about how she's being persecuted and harassed, how people are calling her
Teddy
house and
would've
showing up in
loved
real
Wizard
life,
Chan.
how it's unnerving her, and how
Why?
terrible this is.
You don't know
And
what
what do you
Wizard
know?
Chan
The
is.
gaming
No.
journalists,
It's a
gaming
board for
press
fucking
jumped to her
virgins.
rescue.
They're gonna
Sites
Oh.
like GamerRanks and Kotaku and Rock Paper Shotgun all talked about how brave she was. Even other people with notoriety in the gaming scene right now were sending her messages of encouragement, like Anita Sarkeesian
GamerRanks.
and Dina from the Project Mighty No. 9. Another person who, might I add, her way into a position at a company.
Mighty
Now that sounds all
number
fucking
9.
well and good, except it's
What a
completely
pile of
untrue.
shit.
And I can prove to you that it's
Remember that,
untrue
bud?
with the link in the
Apparently us
description. Go
talking
check
at the
that out.
video
It's an
is
Immigrant
chaos.
album, and it
sorry.
is a chronological explanation of why
Yeah.
Zoe Quinn is full of shit and why this website Wizard Chan didn't target her. Now this is important because it helps to establish her character, and we're going to be getting into that in a minute. But what you really need to glean from this is that she was supported by the gaming press and by other certain indie developers and other notorious people like Anita Sarkeesian against these hordes of horrible trolls that apparently were trying to keep her down. Because obviously a video game about depression just is too much for a troll. Now if you fast forward a certain amount of time, the game finally gets through Greenlight,
and it gets up on Steam despite numerous people saying they didn't like the game, they didn't think it belonged on Steam, the community voicing their opinion against it, different websites dedicated to video games saying that it shouldn't be on Steam. It doesn't make
Now Steam allows anything.
Yeah, anything
Literally
goes.
anything. Like, have fun, guys.
sense. That it's a non-game. A similar argument that's been raised for other indie-developed titles that were supported by the gaming press, like Gone Home and others. Yet, she got it through, and the game got up on Steam. And that is where our WordPress blog, the Zoe Post, comes into play. Because now we get to see from the perspective of somebody who knows her personally, namely Erin, and their relationship. Now, the interesting thing about the Zoe Post blog is that it chronicles and has captures of interactions on social media. And we get to see what kind of person Zoe Quinn is. And we get to see how she's a liar and a manipulator, and how the people at Wizard Chan who put together that album that's linked in the description weren't really bullshitting you when they said she's making it up. Now, at the heart of the Zoe Post, aside from all the things that Erin wrote down about her, aside from her white lies and her omissions of truth, besides the deceitful behavior and manipulation, is the infidelity. And he names specifically 3 people in his post. He omits 2 names. Of course, due to technological wizardry of other people, those 2 names have been found. And so this is a list of 5 guys. And again, I'm not putting their names out there because I think it's wrong she cheated in a relationship. I'm putting those names out there to show you, or to start to show you, how corrupt gaming journalism and game development is.
Just look at these fucking guys.
Oh my god.
Like, holy this is, listen, this is our gaming 5th estate. Like, the problem isn't that they've been corrupted by Zoe Quinn. The problem is that they're a bunch of that's the problem. That all the gaming journalists are a bunch of weirdos.
Look at these
Like,
guys.
look at Nathan Grayson, like, fucking eating the Pac-Man. Look at Robin Arnault. What the fuck is wrong with his hair? What has he done to himself?
So she slept with them to get Depression Quest good reviews?
Holy
Where it started the entire ethics of gaming journalism.
Have become. These are the 5 guys. Now, to start with, on the very far right-hand side is Joshua Boggs. Now, he was her boss. She had sex with him while she was in a relationship with Erin. The interesting thing is, Joshua Boggs is married. So not only was she having sex with her employer, she was having sex with a man who's married. This didn't cause her a crisis of conscience, even though she's made statements in the past on social media saying how wrong it is to have affairs, how terrible it is to cheat on somebody when you're married. But again, as a liar, she says one thing and does another. Some other names that are listed there are Robin Arnott and Kyle Pulver, both indie game devs. You have Brandon McCartan, multi-award-winning indie game dev prodigy for Fez and Aquaria. That's interesting on its own.
Holy, wait.
worked on Fez?
The guy Fez. That's where I knew this guy, Joshua Boggs, right?
Yeah.
This guy, when he made Fez was a crazy cool game, right? It's like 2D pixel, but you could rotate.
Wasn't it the other fucking guy that spurged out?
Yeah. It was like that guy.
It was the other creator of Fez. What was his name?
Oh, I'm trying to remember. Anyone know?
Somebody has it.
That guy went
Phil Fish.
Phil Fish went
Phil Fish.
ballistic. Like, he became like a schizo poster, like insane. He was working on Fez 2, but that fell apart, and he had a mental breakdown on like YouTube.
This really was the final stand of the old internet. That's right, Leo Pirate was right, bros.
Yeah.
This was the final stand, and we lost.
Yeah.
We lost.
For some things that happened just yesterday, but I'll get
I was trying to think of the name Fez. I wanted to bring that up, but yeah, holy.
in a minute. But really, the biggest issue that we're looking at right now is the name in the middle. Nathan Grayson. Who is Nathan Grayson? And why is it important we talk about his and Zoe's relationship? Nathan Grayson is a video game journalist. Nathan Grayson is somebody who wrote for Rock Paper Shotgun and currently writes for Kotaku. Nathan Grayson is somebody who has published positive pieces about Zoe's game, who has given her publicity, and who has marketed her product while having sex with her and not disclosing it. Now, there's a word for people when there's a professional conflict and they need to step back from what they do as a job because of conflicting things. It's called recusing oneself. Nathan Grayson not only did not recuse himself from writing the articles that fluffed up her product and promoted her, he went so far as to hide the fact that they had a relationship. Here you see an example of just 2 pieces he wrote this year, one on Rock Paper Shotgun and one on Kotaku, talking about her
Of the video?
Yeah, can we bring it up a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Product and her specifically. This starts to show a pattern of
Sort of
behavior
being
in
the
game
red, but
journalism.
okay.
These people have no professional barrier which exists between their relationships.
Yeah,
It's not
we'll just
just
leave it like
that
it
game
is.
developers and game journalists
It's the
have
quality
friendships,
from
or that they
2014,
communicate,
not-
or that they cooperate
Like,
and do
but-
things
But the problem is, it goes from green to like all red.
Yeah.
And that will like burst your ears. So let me know if this is fine.
Yeah, it's up.
together. They are having illicit sexual relationships
All right, just let
which
me know how
benefit
that is.
one another. Nathan Grayson has benefited by being able to write an article that will get him clicks and thereby ad revenue. Zoe Quinn is able to get publicity and make money. It is a disgusting
so now
relationship.
it's the
It is the
video
opposite
is
of
too
what
loud,
journalism
we're
is
too
meant to
quiet.
be.
But
The video is too loud. We're too quiet. I mean, I don't know
But it
what
goes
to do.
much deeper than that. It's not just that they have relationships where one hand washes the other. It's that they
Video
bolster
was
up
fine.
positive
Jim
public
Ghost
publicity
killed my
and also
ears.
suppress negative publicity. What I'm going to show you now is a screen cap
Test,
from a
test.
subreddit that was talking about
test,
Zoe Quinn.
test.
This was
Okay, how's
posted
that,
just a few
guys?
days ago in the subreddit, I believe, Tumblr in Action. This is mind-blowing, and it starts to show you just how fucking sick and twisted and corrupt game journalism is. So here's the post in question, and this is by Silly Slater. I'm going to read this verbatim, and I really want you to take in what she's saying, and then I'll focus on the really disgusting part of this. So, Silly Slater posts, "She fucking doxed me. Ruined a production for women, refused to contact us, and is currently taking money for a game jam with no start date, no location, and no judges. Okay, here is my story. We ran a group that literally said, any woman come up with an idea for a video game. We'll give you concept
pause
art
it.
so you can
Yeah.
pitch your game.
We got
And
Sergeant
we'll put all the
Sarge
pitches
for $20.
online. The internet will vote on the best one and we'll make that game and give the profits to charity. If you get a lot of interest online and want to make the game on your own, you can leave the contest at any time. Literally everyone that was in the top 5 didn't have programming experience, so they couldn't make their own game. She was like, why do you expect women to work for free to make games? We said, well, they get 8% of the money as royalties, and they just have to give an idea. Other people will make the game, and the profits go to charity. Doesn't matter, it's oppressive. She started a fucking Twitter storm, crashed our website, got my personal information doxxed, got us banned from Twitter. We email reporters what's up, and they're like, duh, if Zoe says it's oppressive, it must be true. Maybe you should give her money for Rebel Jam, which has no start date, location, or information but totally isn't a scam. This happens at 3 other major publications. We literally said we'd pay her to consult on future projects and we'd close down the contest if she would explain to us what exactly is offensive. No response. No response at all. Unless a reporter contacted her and then she's the victim. All this information is f***ing online. The pitches are online. We did everything we said, but no online journalist will publish the story. Please vote. Even if we don't raise enough money, if we show there's enough interest, we can get a winner a grant to make their game. I'm literally making no money on this contest. I just wanted to focus on something other than women being oppressed. I wanted to show that they made good games, and everyone said that's not what women in games want to talk about. So I don't even know where to start about what can disgust me the most about this. We have heard time and time again over the last 2 to 3 years from every gaming journalist outlet that women are oppressed, that they aren't allowed in the industry, that they can't make games, that people are holding them back, and that they just need an opportunity, just one opportunity to get out there and show what they're made of. And here a person puts together something that gives them that opportunity. Here's somebody saying, if you have a good game idea and you want to pitch it to us, we'll can make it for you. Show people that women can make good games by making good games, and we'll help you do that. I don't see what's not noble about that. I don't see what the fucking problem with that is. But here comes Zoe Quinn, the professional victim, the social justice warrior, who will lie and manipulate like she did with Wizard Chan, like she did with Aaron, her boyfriend. She comes in, she shits on these people trying to do a good thing for no profit. She doxes them, destroys their ambitions, fucks their company up. But the worst part of this, and this goes back to her relationship with Nathan Grayson.
Is it just me who thinks this? Or does it not look like she's about to get a cum load on her face? Is it just me who thinks that? Or it looks like somebody's about to fucking blow a massive load on her face.
Didn't there didn't she post a bunch of nudes and shit?
Oh yeah.
There was a fucking million nudes of her, so that's yeah. Now that you said that, yeah, no, I see it happening.
writer at Rock Paper Shotgun and fucking Kotaku, that because
Very
that relationship
blasphemous, like you
existed,
said.
these people couldn't get the story out. It's not just that Zoe Quinn is having sex to get good publicity. It is that Zoe Quinn is using sexual relationships with writers and reporters to suppress bad actions. I want you to try to imagine this sort of thing happening in old media. Imagine Watergate. What if Nixon had driven down to the Post and taken Woodward and Bernstein aside and said, "Hey, if you don't post that whole scandal thing, I'll give you both a blowjob. How about a Hummer in the fucking printing room? Just don't publish anything." And yet it goes deeper. Remember how I mentioned Brandon McCartan? And also Robin Arnott. Take a look at this. Now, yesterday, Phil Fish, a indie game dev
Here's
who made
Phil Fish.
Fez, went on a fucking
That's who I was talking about. He is fucking psycho. Is he around still?
Well, I think he was gonna make Fez 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't think it ever got made. I think he canceled it.
Yeah.
Because of Gamergate, he was so seething that he canceled it. And I don't know if he ever did anything ever again.
No, I'm gonna search that.
tirade on Twitter defending Zoe Quinn and saying that people who were targeting her were bastards and cowards and that you shouldn't attack a strong, brave, independent woman. Basically parroting all those f***ing ideas that we've been reading in news articles that get swirled around their little social media circles. And he's saying this to all these people who are raising questions about journalistic integrity, but yet he's making that argument. And why is that interesting? Well, she f***ed Brandon McCartan, and apparently he has a connection to Fez. And better yet, somebody comes forward and says that they were sexually harassed at a wedding. Sexually harassed at a wedding by Zoe Quinn. And Phil Fish goes on a tirade against him, basically making him back down. Saying, don't you fucking dare bring that up publicly. If you do, we're going to come after you. And the guy backs down. And oh, look at that. Look who favorited what Phil had to say. Robin Arnott. So just so we're really clear on this, a woman who has repeatedly made social justice and feminist statements about strong, independent women, about equality, who says things like men, specifically gamers and trolls, are terrible and they're sexist and misogynistic, is somebody who uses sex to get...
Okay, you want to hear what happened to Phil Fish, Ashton? This is
All
actually
right.
pretty...
The lore dump on Phil Fish, everybody.
Phil Fish went insane and vanished off the internet and only came back out to collaborate on a new game in 2016, a VR game called Super Hype Cube that just bombed. Okay, so he in panic leaves again the internet, but he has resurfaced only in April 23rd of 2022 for the 10-year anniversary of Fez in an interview. Now he's being very so the person asks him, he goes, are you marking the 10th anniversary of Fez in any way? Phil Fish, I am planning a quiet evening of drinking and crying.
Well, that's where Phil Fish is at, drinking and crying. Doesn't look like things really worked out for Phil Fish.
Get favors, and on top of that, is willing to sexually harass people and then cover it up using industry friends with larger fan bases. Is that? Do I have that right, Zoe? You not only for publicity, you to suppress stories, and then you also people to make anybody who criticizes you go away. Well, I'm not afraid of Phil Fish, the f***ing one-hit wonder indie game dev. Yeah, by the way, Phil, that's why you're not making Fez 2. It has jack shit to do with pressure or you not liking your fans. It has to do with the reality that you know you can't make another game. You are a one f***ing hit wonder. And if you try to make another game, you're going to fail. So go on your Twitter.
Wait.
Such a prophet.
So Mr. Metokur, he is, yeah. Mr. Metokur is the reason Phil Fish had a mental breakdown.
Yeah, it stopped, it just fell apart.
That's hilarious.
Base Jim.
Talking about Fez 2 never happening. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody cares, Phil. You are just an ugly, mutton chop, sideburn having motherfucker with your little fake hipster glasses that runs your fucking mouth about what game development is. You are a dipshit. And you're also a dipshit that doesn't have any fucking standards, apparently, when it comes to people you know. Now, how do I know? Maybe Zoe Quinn...
This is a greatest feltonings of history. He's fucking destroying Phil. This is like a verbal sodomizing, bro. Like, Phil has been destroyed. Like, poor Phil. Get on your bicycle, Phil. Holy
And, I mean, the irony of him wearing the red hat. Hey, Ashton?
Whoa, Feezer before Feezer.
Phil Fish. They seem to have been at a wedding together. Phil Fish seems to know her quite well, and judging by Zoe's behavior and the favors she's curried, it's not really that far out of the ballpark for me to say that perhaps Phil Fish is defending her because of a relationship. Hell, what about Patrick Lundgren?
Cat boy Nikki.
Remember those conventions they did together and the speeches, internet is serious business? Who knows? Maybe Patrick slept with her.
Wait.
In fact,
Read that.
given that this is a reality of how these people behave and that they have no separation as professionals, let's say that Steven Sotelo of Kotaku had sex with Anita Sarkeesian. Why not? You're letting somebody on staff at Kotaku who has a sexual relationship with somebody he writes about, and you don't have any problem with that. So judging from that, I guess you wouldn't have a problem doing it yourself. So maybe Steven is having sex with Anita. Maybe that's why Kotaku keeps writing those articles. It all makes sense now. We have now reached a point where it has become blatantly obvious in gaming journalism where relationships are influencing what gets published and what doesn't. It is no longer about reporting or journalistic integrity. It is about who is f***ing who and who profits from it. And believe me when I say, Zoe Quinn profits from it. Her game may be on Steam for free as a free download, but her Patreon sure isn't free. Her Rebel Game Jam sure isn't free. Her begging people on Twitter from suspicious muggings to help pay rent isn't free. What? She is making money off the back of publicity gotten through sex. And game journalists have no problem with this. And of course, it's all the more hypocritical of them, given their stance on social justice, on feminism, on sexual equality, on gender equality, on sexual equality, on color equality, on all the buzzwords and hot topics they use to clickbait people into coming to their articles. Their high-handed morality and their ivory towers as they look down at us, the peasants, the filthy, disgusting, immoral peasants, and tell us what is right and wrong. And yet, right in their headquarters, right in their home, in their nest, they are doing all the things they condemn us for. They have ruined our hobby, they have shit up an industry, and it's not only us fans that suffer because of this. Look at Xseed. Somebody gets offended a day or so ago about a translation that they did, and all of a sudden they're getting flack left and right about that word because it's problematic and it offended a snowflake. So what is Xseed going to do? They're trying their best, they're trying to appease these people, but nothing is ever good enough. And it is perpetuated by these hypocritical at gaming journalist sites that don't mean anything they print and they just do it for money. And Xseed is just one of the recent examples. I mean, here's another. Here's a journal entry that's up on DeviantArt called Save the Boob Plate. Now this is written by somebody who worked on a game. They worked on Divinity Original Sin. Look at that second paragraph. This journal entry is all about judgmental journalism, offended by design opinionators, and the fearsome white knights that the first two bring in their wake. And this person's talking about what it's like to try to create a game when you're bombarded by these assholes that are constantly shoving their f***ing message down your throat. And what makes it all the more worse is that this person suffers not because these people actually believe in the shit they peddle.
Right here. I'm gonna explain to guys. There was like a time, like around this time, okay, to save the a boob plate. Basically, what it means is in Divinity Original Sin, obviously the armor for females would be like the armor and then like the boobs, right? And it was like Anita Sarkeesian, all these fucking dumb were like, look, Catwoman's ass. She's wearing tights.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Tomb Raider. Her boobs are too big. Save the Boob Plate was like, listen, we're trying to make a game here, and the girls have boob plates. Like, are you going to really cry about it all day?
And they did.
And they did.
And they did, and they won, and now, like, the girl in Fable is ugly as and Horizon Zero Dawn ugly as and it's just a disaster, everybody. Gamergate was a fucking total L.
And the fucking Japanese people don't give a That's why you have hot chicks in FF16, and they don't care. They're just like...
It's all Ralph's fault we lost Gamergate. Ralph can let the whole side down. It's
Ralph.
Literally, like, listen, it's King of Pole's fault,
Yep.
number one. It's number two, Ralph's fault. And number three, Sargon's fault. Number four, Jarbo's fault.
Yeah.
Everybody else is blameless. It's those four's fault video games are now.
Yeah.
Blame them.
But because money off of it.
What was the last thing about this topic? What was the Anita Sarkeesian fucking like 6-part series? She made like $30,000 to make like 6 YouTube videos.
Yeah. So it was more than that. Or are you talking about the new one?
No, I bet the old one.
So it was tropes versus women in video games.
There it is.
And I think she made like a half or like 250,000, wasn't it?
For
something
6
like
videos.
that. For 6 fucking videos.
Fucking
Holy.
crazy.
They don't care. It doesn't matter to them. Their actions speak volumes about their character. So now, at the close of this video, I really want you to think on this. We've seen what happened to mainstream media, to old media, as corruption destroyed it. Now we have online media, new media, facing the same thing. We watch as the Fifth Estate burns in front of our eyes because of hypocrites and the corrupt. It is in our hands to call them out on it, to bring them to task for it. If we sit idly by and we don't, we have lost. Appeasement does not work. Burying your head in the sand does not work. It is not just us as customers that suffer as these people sling shit at us, telling us how terrible we are and telling us what kind of content we should like. It is developers and publishers and artists and musicians that suffer as well because they misrelate a message from us to them. They preach about morality and social justice. They talk about ethics and an end to sexism and racism. And their personal behavior is abhorrent and completely contradictory to the things they print. They are in bed with each other. They communicate on Twitter with each other and other social media platforms constantly. There is no professional separation between a subject and an author. There is no decorum or acumen for any of these people. And you've just seen a taste of what's happening. Mundane Matt gets his video pulled down by a false accusation. Websites refuse to let this be talked about. And I guarantee you, we're going to see articles published by the likes of Kotaku and GamerRanks and others that are going to ignore these kind of accusations, and they're going to focus on how poor Zoe Quinn is just a victim, or she's being slut-shamed, or whatever buzzword they're going to pull out of their ass to dodge the bullet coming at their head. Don't f***ing let them. Call them out. Call their asses out. Are you not sick of this shit? Have your games not been tampered with enough at this point?
The precious
we as
games.
consumers, as gamers, have a choice. We either back the people that make
We
the
must
games
make a
we
stand
like, or we
at
let
Helm's
these
Deep.
assholes dictate to us who's going to be popular in 10 years. Do you want an industry that's filled with nothing but Anita Sarkeesians, and Dinas, and Phil Fishes, and Zoe Quinns? Because I sure as hell don't, and I hope you don't either. So I encourage you to talk about this on different websites, on different social media. Talk about it non-stop. Don't let them sweep it under the rug. Don't let them avoid the fucking issue. Call them to the fucking mat on it. We have a spotlight on this corruption and on their fucking hypocrisy. Make them answer for it for once. Make them be held accountable. We, the fucking fans, the gamers, over the decades, have raised our hobby up into a billion-dollar worldwide industry. Not these assholes. They make money off our interest, not the fucking other way around. We hold the power here. They don't.
Do you?
And it is time
Yes,
that
no.
gamers sent
We do. You
game
wanna know why?
journalists
a
very clear goddamn
explain why.
message. And that fucking message should be,
I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gotta be biblical.
The reason there are that we did win in some regards. Look at like games like Forspoken. Annoying fucking chick, just mediocre looking, like the model.
They get woke, go broke.
And fucking they get destroyed.
Yeah, they still make this shit. They still make
No, you're right.
all this
right.
garbage. They don't care. It's not about the money. It's about sending a message.
It's sending a message. And
the ultimate thing was about Gamergate. As you listen to the last 2 minutes there, it kind of becomes clear this was sort of fucking cringe. We as gamers rise up! Helm's Deep! Gamer Bros!
But he was right.
I mean, listen. Yeah, gaming got fucking raped. But my whole thing about Gamergate was, if it was only when they came for video games that you started to give a fuck, and not all the other things, all the civil liberties that they took away during the 2000s, all the spying, all the bullshit, all the corruption of our culture that happened before they came for video games, then maybe you weren't cut out for politics in the first place, to be honest. And that's kind of what happened, is there was like a political movement built off nihilistic Coomer gamers who don't really fit into a conservative ideology, but decided they were going to become reactionaries simply to own the libs. And it didn't really work because they didn't really believe in the ideology they were espousing. and it was like a massive
now,
L.
It's even now. I mean, look at people like Nick or Beardson or whatever, right? We talk about them all the time. Obviously, they don't care about politics.
No,
they don't. They would rather just have a show where you talk shit, make money, and f*** off. And this whole like, oh, we're gonna be the president, we're gonna be this, we're gonna be that. It's all bullshit. They went too deep into it and never like got out. Never went, you know what, I'm going to course correct and not try to be like a leader. Because they're not. There is no fucking movement. They're hypocritical. It's fucking bullshit.
This is basically, I mean, listen, and so what happened with Gamergate is there were different factions in Gamergate. And it was really autistic, but basically Jim's whole thing was attack, make them fucking pay, don't go on the defensive. Sargon and a bunch of other people were like trying to be super optical and shit, and they were like, we need to make money off this, and motherfuckers started grifting and opening Patreons, and this was really the death of any sort of resistance to monetization online.
Yeah.
It was, because everybody prior to this in this particular type of sphere was super against Patreon. You were an e-beggar if you took money, if you had a PayPal link. But Sargon and Jarbo and every fucking 2-bit grifter that came in all started making money. So it became normal. And what ended up, Jim was pissed about this. But also, what happened was, and this is what they won't, a lot of people forget this, but there was a stream with like Jim, Sargon, King of Pole, and on it, King of Pole denied the Holocaust to Sargon. He was like, Sargon, you don't know that it didn't happen? Meanwhile, Jim's drunk off his ass finger blasting Jade, and Jade's like moaning, oh.
What a fucking time.
It was so fucking amazing. It was one of the best streams ever.
Now, you know what's so funny?
It was so funny.
So I was doing fucking, what kind of, I was doing whatever, skit videos and all this shit. This happened, and I didn't give a fuck about it. I was just a stoner trying to make funny fucking videos. When I got into like the political sphere, my video was like Black Lives Matter is garbage. Like that was my first I was seeing everything being burnt down. And then I was introduced to Gamergate like years after it happened by Jeff Holiday. And Jeff Holiday's like, you never heard of Metokur before? And then he was showing me all this shit. And I was just like, okay, whatever. And then the whole fucking Trump thing happened and we bashing SJWs. I thought it was funny because it was funny to bash the blue hairs. And this shit was like, it's like fucking crazy.
So it started this
I was
boom.
always pro making money online.
Yeah,
I
know.
never gave a fuck about making money online.
So we're going to go into Jim's video. So this is literally either the day after the finger blasting stream or like a few days after. And this is his final message to Gamergate.
He was pissed off,
He was fucking seething. So this is the end of the Internet Aristocrat era. And then we're going to transition to the Mr. Metokur era.
Yeah.
I'm done. The channel's shut down. I'll pop up maybe in 6 or 7 months. None of you are going to remember what I sound like. You're probably not going to find the channel. That's just how I prefer it.
He was wrong about
very
that.
Wrong.
Like a large audience. And to be frank with you, the whole Gamergate thing is depressing. It was the opportunity to finally kick the teeth in of social justice warriors and Tumblrettes and draw a line in the sand and push back against all these hypersensitive. And for a while it was working really, really well. All you had to do was attack. See, that's the trick. That's why I love polls so much. People think you need to be a moderate or an independent or a neutral. They're wrong. You need to pick an extreme. You need to pick a side with a yes or a no answer. That's how you attract people to you. If you're too focused on being a moderate, if you try to approach the middle to appeal to moderates, you become indistinguishable from them, and your message becomes diluted. And as time went on, that's what happened to Gamergate. And it's too painful to watch happen anymore. I was planning on shutting down the channel anyway, but over the last month, I watched this happen more and more. Don't believe me? Go look at this for yourself, Bull. Go look at the people who are prominent figures right now in Gamergate, and see how many of them have Indiegogo campaigns, how many of them have Kickstarter campaigns, how many of them have Patreons, how many are have ad revenue on their videos, everybody's making a buck. And they're all making a buck doing the same shit the people we were supposed to be fighting against were doing. They're crying harassment and then making money off of it. And it's fucking bullshit. But they don't seem to mind. And then add on top of that all the SJW language, all the SRS bullshit, where you hear them using words like toxic and signal boost and tone police and all the other 13-year-old girl fucking phrases and terms that shouldn't be anywhere associated with this. You got to do just one thing. Attack, attack, attack. Keep the pressure up, and your opponent, in this case corrupt media and the SJW cultural Marxist bullshit, they'll fold. They'll make a mistake and make themselves look stupid like Sam Biddle did, like other people did. And you capitalize off of that. The saddest thing about all of this is, it wasn't mainstream media, it wasn't multi-million-dollar corporations, it wasn't corrupt journalists, and it wasn't social justice warriors that killed Gamergate. Gamergate shot itself in the foot by becoming what they're fighting. And that is just too much to fucking handle. It's just, I couldn't watch it happen anymore. They don't know what they're doing. I know now what it, I don't know how to explain it. I know what happened to Occupy Wall Street now. I know what happened to Chinology now. When you lose your edge, when you lose that chaotic element that really helps you boost something in the beginning, you're dead in the water. And that's exactly what's happening to Gamergate. I wish them the best. I don't want to see Gawker win. I don't want to see those fuckers, those smug walk away like nothing happened. But it feels hopeless. It really does. As for the other saying in the thread, because I'm reading through it, because I got linked to it from somebody who happened to stumble on it, Jim is self-promoting. Hop in the IRC, talk to a mod. They can check the IP addresses and confirm that's not me. I don't start threads here to talk about myself, and I don't trip. It's really, it takes 5 seconds for you to look into that. But I like that you doubt that. See, that's why I like Poll. You don't fucking trust anything. That's good. But just be wary of these Gamergate fuckers. A lot of them are out to hustle money. And if you really look into it, you fucking see what I mean. And I can't stomach it. I wanted to fight Tumblr, not become it. And I will not ally myself with people that are just as bad as the opposition. Let them go whore themselves out for money. Let them, become what they're fighting. And see how much momentum they get. See how much they accomplish doing that. They lost their edge. And they forgot their principles and their values. And there's no fucking excuse for it. There's no excuse for doing that. So that's the, I don't know, the explanation. If that's really what you fucking wanted. I don't know what to say. But, yeah, just it. I think, I don't know how to sum it up best. Actually, you know what? I do. I have a quote for you that I think really sums up my thoughts on Gamergate at this point. If the war is lost, the people will also be lost, and it is not necessary to worry about their needs for elemental survival. On the contrary, it is best for us to destroy even these things, for the nation has proved to be weak, and the future belongs entirely to the strong people of the East. Whatever remains after this battle is in any case only the inadequate, because the good ones will be dead. Good luck, Poll. Keep doing what you're doing. Love the shit out of the Ferguson threads. You glorious fucking
Ferguson at that time, now
oh my God.
The George Floyd riots and all that, it just made Ferguson look like child's play. But
yeah,
this really was, this is really self-serious and very self-indulgent and very cringe. But I understand like the feeling that he had at this time was, and what he was expressing was exactly what I felt at the time. Now I was
looking back on it, it's crazy though.
It kind of is, because it's so like, holy f***, this is Gamergate, whatever. Part of it is influenced not just by all the bullshit of Gamergate, but that he was getting fucking criticized for finger banging Jade, and that the optics were bad, and you're making the movement look bad, and you're supposed to be our leader, Jim, and all these people who said he needs to be the leader and lead us, Jim, and all this fucking bullshit. But it's a very different Jim than the Jim we know today. This is this is like the death of innocence for Jim.
Yeah.
This is like,
you know what? Fuck it. Let's just let her rip. When he came back, let her rip.
This is like the last like spark of like Jim's hope for anything. Like this is like where Jim's like sense of like maybe we can do something just fucking died.
And he's just like,
and he's like, we're
I'm gonna shit on furry.
and I'm gonna have fun, and I'm gonna fucking make money, and being so serious and self-righteous and all this fucking shit. So we come back, but this was like the death of Jim's innocence there, folks.
Yeah.
He fucking left, and he comes back a year later. Now, he started doing videos as Mr. Metokur, and he wasn't making money at first. But what I want to play immediately is this, because you see the complete 180. He did videos for a little while, but then he totally 180s on this whole stance, being against making money, against selling merch. And this is where a lot of people are upset with Mr. Metokur and say, what the fuck, you know?
I was like, finally, buddy, welcome. Welcome to the real, you know, honestly,
I think what it is it's the choice between deciding to still be cool for the boys. I'm going to be cool for the boys. I'm going to stay for the boys. And actually, like, taking care of yourself. You know, getting a girlfriend, making money. Like, you know, instead of just sitting around with the boys smoking pot and talking about how the man is a piece of shit. Like, you actually, like, go and complete your degree and, like, go and get a fucking job.
And the friend
you're
Billy
working
comes
for them.
back. He's wearing a suit and a tie, and you're like, "You've changed, man.
You changed,
buddy."
dude.
It's like, you know, welcome to the real world.
By the time Jim did this, it was already over. It was literally fucking over. The monetization battle was over, and this was like the final death nail. And then me and Godwinson were like, "No, we have to fight it." We were fighting a fucking already what was a lost battle. It was even more over after this. And so, you know, I look back on, like, when I'm debating Jim about that shit, and, you know, I think he was wrong to sweep it for Ralph and you know, but at the same time, I think I was fucking a bit naive about the reality that this shit is fucking over. And although money can be a corrupting influence, it's fucking here, and it's here to stay, and there's nothing we can do about it. So it's over.
Future of media,
so you may as well
online.
make fucking money. And the thing is, people do deserve to be compensated for the time that they put in and the effort they put in. That's what I believe now. But anyway, that's basically the way I look on it now. I know a lot of people will be seething about that, but let's listen to Jim here.
Thanks for those massive donos there. Appreciate you.
When you're on your knees at your father's funeral, at his casket, and you're saying goodbye to him, and then you have 9 orgasms right there, while your whole family is standing behind you. It just makes you never want to have another orgasm as long as you live. But you know what?
What the?
You just keep on coming.
Absolutely tragic. How heartbreaking is that? But it is a part of life. Eventually, you're going to be faced with a situation where you're going to have to eat shit and smile. For me, that would be today. That would be this video. You know, I've been on YouTube for a decade now, which is the gayest thing you could possibly say out loud to a group of people, which I've just done. But it is the truth. I've seen the evolution of this website from when it began to what it is now. What originally was merely a platform to post videos slowly changed over time with the content creation phrase. The idea that you could make money off of doing this, which is ridiculous, but nonetheless became something that people began to speak about. At first, it was just a few individuals. You had people like the AVGN, who became very big, went off to other websites, got a large following, and started making money doing it. And over time, eventually others followed suit. You had them clumping together in groups like that guy with the glasses, where they would monetize their content and brand it and try to make it profitable. But it didn't really kick off until the advertisements came. Once people could start putting ads on their videos, things got crazy quick. You had the introduction of the MCNs, the multi-channel networks, and that sort of was the death of what YouTube was. For me, however, it was never really
I was in one for 3 years. I was scammed, bro.
Everybody was scammed by these multi-channel networks. Do they still exist?
No, they're done.
Thank God.
There is like a few, but they're more of like an actual media, like proper corporation, whereas the other ones, I can't even remember the one I was part of. I forgot. Anyway, they were just like scammed. They promise you, we'll get you sponsors, we'll get you this, we'll give you shit. And they took 50% of all your, or 30% of all your money for 3 fucking years. I was stuck with them. And it's just money down the fucking drain.
Just down the fucking drain. Oh, we're gonna represent you in copyright disputes.
They did
and
nothing.
There was at one time, because the copyright system was so the only way you could do like reviews and shit was to have a multi-channel network that would step in and speak to YouTube for you and stuff like that. But they were fucking dirty thieves, and most of them were worthless as And then there was like the channels like Machinima.
Yeah.
Where like motherfuckers just got robbed blind. Like the fucking Arby and the Chief videos, like John CJG, just millions and millions and millions of views he racked up for them. Barely got fucking anything. And then they told him they owned the IP and they were going to continue it regardless of whether he wanted to or not, and force that bullshit Arby and the Chief in LA show that was so terrible that they fucking had to try and bring him in to salvage it, but he couldn't save it. It was so fucked. And they just had to fucking shit can it. Machinima were fucking thieves, man.
Oh, they were like the worst. I'm trying to remember the one I was part of. I'm going to search the name, but I remember, like, dude, to break the contract was like impossible. I had a calendar on the year. I forgot what year it was. With a red circle, like just on the day that the contract was over. Instantly fucking called them. I'm done. And they're like, no, we'll just take 20%. I'm like, you guys have done nothing. Cut me up. Out. I want out. And my money just went boom. By like 300%. Scam artists.
About that, it was always just a hobby, putting a video up and talking about something I was interested in. There wasn't a angle on if it would be profitable to talk about it, but rather was I interested in talking about it. And for 10 years, I held that stance.
And that's one of the things that monetization has really hurt, is that people no longer will talk about the things they really want to talk about. They'll jump on trends. They only talk about what's popular at the moment. That's how you get like quartering and shit like this. Ugh. Just shameless fucking grifters. The thing is, my content, you know, before I made money was Nick and Ralph shitting on them, shitting on these motherfuckers, and, you know, talking about certain people, you know, that I was interested in, like Hollywood God or whatever. The content that I make now is still the same shit, basically. The difference is that I read fucking super chats and get paid for it. So I don't feel like it's fucking become, oh my God, it's totally changed. And, you know, now he's talking about the button challenge or whatever fucking shit it is that's on TikTok today, trying to chase money in that way. At least that's how I justify it to myself and live with myself.
It's true. It's true, though. You're right. And for me, it was roasting people, having fun, like bashing people, you know, fucking making fun of them. And honestly, like, I have the most fun that I've ever had online now doing this show. Because the SJW stuff, for me, while I like making fun of woke stuff, I hate it. I think it's disgusting. I think it's ruining everything. And I'll occasionally bash it, obviously. But when that's your entire life, it's just like woke, 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 woke. You're just constantly mad about everything.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just... But that's like, some fuckers are still doing it to this day.
Yeah.
You know? Bashing woke shit every fucking day.
That's
and,
like
you know, I was
Warski
obsessed
Live.
with it for a long time.
Same.
But you get burned out on it. You get fucking tired. Like...
And that's why when Warski Live happened with JF, it was like a fucking breath of fresh air. It was like, oh... It was like up topics and shit, but I'm like, it's something new. It's something like not just like, oh, the blue hair person's mad about that you don't want to fuck a trans person. It's like, oh, it's like, what are we talking about? Crazy fucking... I don't even want to talk about what I talked about. But yeah.
Now I'm forced to change it.
It was
not
like
the
a breath
opinion
of
on
fresh
it.
air.
I still think monetization and Patreon and all of that is gay as fucking shit. Nonetheless, my stance has to change on it. Now I'm expecting a mountain full of shit over this, and I'm fine with that. But I'd like to go over a few bullet points first, just for those of you that might be curious about a few details. Now that you're a whore, is your content going to change? No,
cool.
I'm still going to talk about the stupid shit I like to talk about, and f*** with the different idiots online that I like to f*** with, and that's not going to change. Are you going to ask us to turn off that pesky ad block? No, I'm not putting ads on my videos. They're annoying. I use ad block. Ads ruin the internet. You expect me to support you? Not at all. Like I said, I think Patreon and PayPal and adverts and all that shit is gay as f. I don't expect you to do shit. Has this been your longest op, using YouTube for 10 years and now monetizing? Yeah, this has been my grand plan, really. You know, when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Create multiple channels over the last decade, allowing them each to get up to a point where they become popular, and then closing them down, all leading to this one moment. It was a very long operation, but I think I planned it out pretty f***ing well. How big of a tip or contribution do I need to give to spit in your mouth, slut? It's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be a big one. Are you going to start selling clocks with your face on it now? Don't be fucking ridiculous. I'm going to sell shirts and coffee mugs and hats instead.
Go.
That should just about cover the major ones. If there are any hot topic questions that you have, feel free to ask them in the comments, and I'll try to answer as best I can. Know this going forward. I'm still going to make the videos that I've always made. I'm still going to pursue the topics that I always found to be interesting. That has not changed. The only thing that has changed is I am now a filthy whore. It's a little hard to deal with, but occasionally life throws a situation at you where you just have to suck it up and deal with it. And that is what this is. So if you're interested in financially supporting these videos going forward, I'll have a link in the description to a Patreon account, which feels weird to even say, but I'll be a link to it. And I'll probably throw up a PayPal, I guess, as an alternative. I don't know. I've never done this before.
We've
I don't know
heard
what
the
people are really comfortable using, to be honest with you. So to those of you that are able to support me, thank you very much. I appreciate it. To those of you that don't want to or can't, it's completely understandable and fine as well. There won't be a noticeable difference going forward. Not much is going to change, except for the fact that gym time will be a thing of the past. Because if I'm being paid to make videos, I can't really go on hiatus for 4 months and shitpost on Twitter, which is sad because I'll miss that as a about hobby.
Father
but
Jim, that was a lie.
Everyone's.
That was a lie, Jim. Gym time. Oh, yeah, I won't go on hiatus anymore. Don't worry, guys. I'm getting paid to do this now. Yeah, that didn't last.